When I first met her, I thought she was a dream, but that dream would soon become my worst nightmare. My name is Daniel. I'm just a regular guy. No money, no car, no fancy clothes. I work as a food delivery boy in the city. Every day, I ride my old bicycle, delivering meals to people who don't even look me in the eyes. I live in a small, broken house with my mother. She's very sick, can't walk much, can't speak clearly. She had a heart attack 2 years ago. My father died when I was just 14. Since then, I became everything: son, nurse, and man of the house. Sometimes, when I sit beside her bed and hold her hand, she whispers, "Don't forget to eat, Daniel." And I smile and lie, "I will, after your medicines." One afternoon, it was raining hard. The sky was dark. My clothes were soaking wet. I got an order to deliver food to a luxury apartment building, the kind of place I never enter. Apartment 9B. I climbed the stairs, shoes slipping, heart beating fast. I pressed the bell. The door opened, and there she was. Her name was Lubi. She was beautiful, red lips, long hair, soft perfume. She looked like a movie star. She looked at me for a moment, smiled, and said, "Oh my, you're completely wet." I tried to speak. "It's okay. I'm just here to deliver the food." She smiled again. "Come inside. You'll catch a cold like this." I paused. Nobody ever invited me in before, but she stepped aside, waiting. I walked in slowly, still holding the food bag. She handed me a clean towel and made coffee. I couldn't believe it. "What's your name?" she asked. "Daniel," I replied. "Nice name," she said. "I'm Lubi," and she smiled again. From that day, everything changed. Lubi started ordering food almost every day, sometimes twice, sometimes more, and somehow, every time, it was me delivering it. After a few days, she asked for my number. "Just in case this food app doesn't work," she said. We started texting. At first, it was about food, then about music, then about life. She told me she liked the rain. I told her I liked silence. She said I was strange. I said she was beautiful. One night, she texted me, "I think I like talking to you more than eating." And I replied, "Then I must be the luckiest delivery boy in the world." That Sunday, she messaged again. "Take me somewhere," she said. "Where?" I asked. "Anywhere," she replied. "Just take me on your bicycle." I was shocked, but I didn't want to lose this chance. That afternoon, we rode across the streets. She sat behind me, holding my shoulders. People stared. Some whispered, some laughed, but Luby didn't care. We reached a quiet lake outside the city. The sky was orange. The wind was soft. She looked at me and said, "You're not like other boys." "Is that good?" I asked. She smiled. "It's rare." Then, without saying anything else, she kissed me. My heart stopped. No one had ever touched me like that. No one had ever looked at me the way she did. I felt alive. I felt seen. I felt special. But what I didn't know was that kiss wasn't love. It was a test, and I had already failed it. They say love is beautiful when it's real, but when it's fake, it doesn't just hurt. It breaks something you can never fix. Asterisk I used to think love was everything, but sometimes love is just a pretty mask that hides something very dark. After that kiss by the lake, things moved fast between me and Luby. She started calling me every morning. She texted me all day, and every weekend, she wanted to go out somewhere. The park, the lake, even small street cafes. I didn't have money for those things, but I didn't want to lose her, so I spent what little I had. Then I started skipping lunch, skipping dinner, just to save more. One night, I looked at my old motorbike, the one my dad left behind. I hadn't ridden it in months, but I knew it was the only thing I could sell. So I sold it, and I used the money to buy Luby a birthday gift, a gold bracelet. It was the first time I had ever stepped inside a jewelry shop. When I gave it to her, her eyes lit up. "Oh my God, Daniel," she said, "this is beautiful." She hugged me tight and kissed me again. And for that moment, just that one moment, I felt proud, like I had done something right. Like maybe I was finally enough for her. But slowly, something started to change. She started talking about big things. "I want a car, Daniel," she said. "Not just buses and bikes. I want to travel to Bali, Thailand, Dubai." She started showing me pictures of fancy places, expensive clothes, luxury watches. I laughed softly and said, "Someday, when I earn more, I'll take you." She didn't smile. She just said, "Sunday isn't good enough, Daniel. I tried harder. I took extra shifts. I worked 14 hours a day. My feet were sore. My back hurt. But I kept pushing because I loved her. Or maybe I was just afraid of losing her." Then another change came. She stopped replying to my texts immediately. Sometimes hours passed. Sometimes a full day. When I asked, she said, "Busy with office work, meetings, presentations. You wouldn't understand." I nodded. I believed her. But inside, something felt wrong. One evening, I called her around 11 p.m. She picked up after a long pause. There was music in the background. Voices, laughter. "Where are you?" I asked. "At a business dinner," she said, "with my boss." "Don't act jealous." "I'm not jealous," I replied, "just worried." She hung up. The next day, she didn't call at all. The day after that, she messaged late at night. "Going out of town for a week," she said. "Company trip." I wanted to believe her, but something didn't feel right. That week, I barely slept. I waited for her texts. I kept staring at my phone. Then, 3 days later, I got a message. But not from her. It was from my friend Rahul. He worked part-time as a hotel waiter. He sent me a photo. In the picture, Lubi was at a beach resort, wearing sunglasses, smiling, holding hands with another man. The man was older, in a suit, tall, rich-looking. I stared at the photo for a long time. My hands were shaking. I didn't eat that night, or the night after. For 3 days, I didn't go to work. I didn't speak to my mother. I just sat there, staring at the wall. The girl I loved, the girl I gave everything to, was on vacation with another man, and I was sitting in a dark room with an empty pocket and a broken heart. But still, I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding. I wanted to believe she had a reason. So I waited. I waited for her to return. I didn't know. The worst part of the story was yet to come. When she came back from her business trip, I was standing outside her building. She stepped out of the car, smiling, holding shopping bags and wearing a new dress. I looked at her. She looked back, surprised, but not guilty. "You're here?" she asked. "I wanted to see you," I said quietly. She nodded and walked past me. I followed her upstairs. Inside her flat, she threw her bags on the couch and took off her heels. Then she looked at me and said, "Why do you look so serious? What happened?" I didn't speak. I slowly took out my phone and showed her the photo. Her holding hands with that rich man at the beach, laughing, drinking. At first, she said nothing. She just stared at the screen. Then, she smiled. "Yes," she said. "That's my boss." "So what?" "Lubi," I whispered. "You told me it was a business trip." "It was," she said, calmly. "He invited me. He paid for everything." "You lied to me." "No," she said. "I just didn't tell you everything. That's not the same." I was silent. Then I asked, "Are you sleeping with him?" She looked at me for a second. Then she walked to the kitchen, poured herself some juice, and replied, "Why does it matter, Daniel?" My chest burned. My face went pale. "Because I love you," I said, my voice cracking. She laughed, actually laughed. "Love?" she said. "Daniel, wake up. You're a sweet guy, but that's not enough for me." I sat down. "Numb." She continued, "You ride a bicycle. I take flights. You eat street food. I drink wine. You're trying your best. But I need more than a good heart." I felt like I was sinking. "I sold my father's motorbike for you," I said. "I haven't eaten properly in weeks. I'm working extra shifts to make you happy." She turned around and said, "And I didn't ask for that. You did all that because you wanted to feel good. But love, Daniel, love doesn't pay rent. It doesn't buy Chanel bags." That moment broke me. She wasn't even sorry. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't say she loved me, even once. She looked at me like I was a child, a poor, foolish child who thought effort could win love. Then she said the last thing I'll never forget. "Don't be so dramatic, Daniel. You were just a chapter, not the whole book." I left her apartment in silence. The world outside felt colder. I walked home slowly. When I reached home, my mother was coughing badly. She had been calling me, but I didn't pick up. I rushed her to the hospital, but it was too late. She died that night. No goodbye, no final hug, just silence. And in that silence, I realized I had lost everything. My love, my money, my mother. And all for what? for a girl who didn't even say sorry. The next morning, I looked at the mirror, and I didn't recognize the man standing there. After my mother died, I disappeared. I didn't go back to work. I didn't answer anyone's calls. I didn't even visit her grave for a few weeks. I felt like a ghost, like I didn't exist anymore. I would sit in dark rooms, not moving, not thinking, just breathing. Sometimes I would hear my mother's voice in my head saying, "Take care of yourself, Daniel." But I couldn't. Not yet. Lubi had destroyed me. She didn't just break my heart. She broke my soul. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Nobody knew where I was. But what they didn't know was, I wasn't just crying in the dark. I was rebuilding myself. Every pain became my fire. Every insult became fuel. I started learning. I stayed up all night watching online business videos. I studied marketing, branding, digital business, stocks. I took online jobs, small ones at first, just enough to eat and survive. Then bigger jobs came. I used every contact I had. I reached out to people I once delivered food to, and slowly I started my own business. It wasn't easy. I failed twice, lost money, made mistakes, but I never gave up. Because I remembered Lubi's words, "You were just a chapter, not the whole book." That line became my fuel. After a year and a half, I was no longer Daniel, the delivery boy. I was Daniel, the CEO of a fast-growing tech company. I had my own office, my own apartment, my own car, staff, clients, investors. No one saw it coming, and I didn't make noise about it. I stayed quiet, because silence is power. Then, one morning, I got an email. It was from a woman named Lubi. She was applying for a position in my company. I stared at the name. At first, I thought it was a joke. What it was in single quotes T. She had no idea I owned the company. No clue that her email landed directly in my inbox. Her resume said her last company had gone bankrupt. Her boss had been arrested in a fraud case. Mr. Ray, the same rich man she left me for. I couldn't help but smile. The girl who once said love doesn't pay rent was now begging for a job in my company. I didn't reply. I waited. 3 days later, my assistant knocked on my door. "Sir, there's a lady waiting outside," he said. "Walk-in interview, says her name is Lubi." I told him to send her in. When she walked through the door, she froze. Her mouth opened slightly, her eyes widened. She couldn't believe it. I was sitting there, in a black suit, behind a glass desk, in a room filled with awards and achievements. She whispered, "Daniel." I didn't smile. I didn't stand up. I just said, "Please, take a seat." She sat down slowly, still in shock. "I didn't know. You own this company," she said. "I know," I replied. She looked nervous, lost. "Listen, I know what I did. I was wrong," she said. "I was stupid. I made a mistake." She tried to cry. She looked at me the way she used to, soft, helpless. "I've changed, Daniel. I really have. I've had a tough year." I listened. Then I leaned forward and said, "You didn't just break my heart, Lubi. You taught me a lesson I'll never forget." She nodded quickly. "I know, and I'm sorry. Just give me one chance." I looked her straight in the eye and replied, "You didn't break me, Lubi. You built me." And with that, I stood up, opened the door, and called in my assistant. "Please, escort the applicant out." She looked at me with teary eyes. "I love you, Daniel," she whispered. "No," I said. "You love the version of me who didn't exist anymore." And I turned away. That day, I visited my mother's grave again. I sat beside her, with a single white flower in my hand. "I kept my promise, Ma," I whispered. "No one will ever hurt me again." Some people wait for revenge, but some people become it. After that meeting with Lubi, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. For the first time in a long time, I felt light, like I had finally closed a chapter that was never mine to begin with. My company kept growing. I got offers from investors in London, Dubai, and Singapore. I started traveling, meeting new people, new clients, new energy. But inside me, I was still that boy, that delivery boy who once stood in the rain with a food bag, dreaming of love. The only difference? I didn't need to be loved anymore. I had already loved enough and lost enough. One evening, I got a letter from an old neighbor. It had a photo inside. It was of me and my mother when I was 15. She was smiling, holding my hand. I looked tired, but happy. I sat alone that night, holding the photo, and I cried, not because I missed Lubi, but because I missed the boy I used to be, the one who believed that love could fix anything, the one who thought honesty would be enough. But life taught me something else. Love without respect is poison, and loyalty to the wrong person is self-destructs. A few weeks later, I heard from Rahul, the friend who had once sent me that beach photo. He said, "Bro, did you hear? Lubi is working at a local shopping center now. Small job. Nothing like before." I just smiled. I wasn't happy that she fell. I was just grateful that I rose. One day, while I was driving to a business meeting, I stopped at a traffic light, and there she was, on the footpath, holding shopping bags, tired, makeup smudged. She didn't see me, but I saw her, and I didn't feel anything. No anger, no love, just peace. I drove on. That night, I wrote a letter, not to her, not to anyone else. To myself. It said, "Dear Daniel, you loved, you lost, you broke, and then you built. You gave everything you had to someone who gave you nothing, but you didn't let that destroy you. You became the man your mother would be proud of. You are not a victim. You are the storm." I folded the letter and placed it next to my mother's photo. I looked at her one last time that night and said, "I did it, Ma. I really did it." And I walked away, not with pain, not with anger, but with purpose, because sometimes the best revenge is no revenge at all, just success and silence.